Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Vet Chats, where we help veterans share their awesome stories and make the veteran community a better place. I hope you will stay tuned to see how this generation of veterans is continuing their service. Also, Vet Chats is now on Reese Across America Radio. We will be played Mondays at 9 p.m. and Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. They have a ton of great veteran content that I know you'll appreciate, so be sure to check them out. You can find them on the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, and also at their website, reachaccrossamerica.org. All right, everybody, I hope you had a great weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. So last week we lost one of our chickens to a fox, and then today one of our chickens was sick and we had to kill it, but we got 2 new ones, so it was a very eventful weekend. Hey everyone, good to see you. All right, and so tonight we have a great guest. His name is Rob, and he is the founder of Web of Veterans, and we're gonna have him on tonight to share a little of his story. And then we're also going to talk about what Web of Veterans is and what they do. So I see that he's requested. Hey, everyone. Hi, good to see you. BB Brown Group. All right, so I just accepted you. There you are.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Rob, how are you doing? How was your weekend?
Oh, it's fantastic. We're getting ready to move, so we did a lot of packing this weekend. I heard you talk of chickens, and it's been a talk in this house. I am team against chickens, but we'll see how that goes at the new place.
Wait, what is your argument against the chickens? I want to know that.
The smell. So I just feel like just the outside, taking care of them, the amount of time it does. I had some friends that owned them, and then dealing with the loss, like living by the woods. But that's my personal take on chickens. So
yeah, my 4-year-old was in tears today. Actually, my 8-year-old too. So it was, but I mean, it's a teaching moment. They get so much out of it, right?
Yes,
you got young girls.
My wife is listening too, so she'll probably hold this against me once she hears that I'm nationally broadcasting against.
Uh-oh. Are you still there? Can you hear me? I just got a notification that said you were unable to join. I'm not sure what happened. Can anyone hear me? Okay, you're requesting again. All right, sorry everyone. Hopefully we can get this back on track. This has never happened to me before. Okay.
Yeah, it kicked me out.
That's never happened to me before. It said that you weren't unable to join and then said you requested, but anyhow, I saw your wife, Shannon. She said, I'm team chickens. Yes, I will back you up any argument you have because you should do it. But anyhow, so let's get started, Rob. We want to hear all about you. You were an officer in the Air Force. What's kind of your background? What made you decide to first go Air Force or go military in general? We can start there.
Yeah, so I'm a product of JROTC, so I was a nerd during those high school years. And I wanted to go in the Marine Corps, just like a lot of people. And my dad was a Marine, and he was like, Rob, go Air Force. You need to go, and you need to like look into going to school. So I had really great mentors at my high school. They really helped guided me to say, hey, here are your options. And that actually motivated me to the point where I was like, I can't do anything else. I'm staying in 30 years until they kick me out. That was my mindset. Then I went to Pitt, University of Pittsburgh. I'm from Pittsburgh, so it was great. They had an Air Force program. I did that, studied political science undergrad. Again, I was so tunnel vision to, I don't want to learn, I don't need to talk to anybody else at college because I'm going to the Air Force and no one's going to stop me. So I did that 4 years. College was great. The ROTC track is wonderful because it's a little bit of both worlds, you know. From there, I commissioned in the Air Force in 2013, and I went in as a missileer, so second lieutenant out to California, before I then went up to the great state of North Dakota, where I sat in Minot for 3 years underground. And it has its ups and downs. We had a really great group of friends. That's what I can say about Minot. Like, people stick together up there, which we still talk to those group of friends today. From there, I found out, this wasn't my thing, and I wanted to deploy. I was excited. What else could I do? We did a rack and stack, which is just, hey, they put people in a listed order by how good of a missileer they are, and I was lucky enough to be in the group to say, hey, you can do something else if you want. Went into airfield operations, so that's the leadership side of air traffic control, base operations. So anything on the airfield that's not flying kind of falls under your realm, and that was great because that is a real leadership. You've had 50 to 70 airmen that are underneath you, and I really got a little bit of the leading world and the dealing with the personal side of it. And from there, I went and deployed to Baghdad, Iraq, which I didn't do direct airfield operations. I was in the SCO, so Security Cooperation Officer, and like military sales is how I describe it. My deployment was a little bit different. I was at the embassy, so I get a lot of crap from my friends, right? Baghdad wasn't what it was in 2018. Like, when I say I have a combat deployment, I don't take that away from anybody because it was your occasional mortar. However, I never saw direct combat. It was just a great experience to really be with the culture over there. And that's when my eyes opened, because I saw the Lockheed Martins. I saw all of the government contractors and the money that was exchanging hands. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want a piece of this private world. Maybe I'll go back. And it was really from there a decision with my wife to say, I want to separate, because the pace of being in the military, I give people a lot of credit. I mean, you spend a lot of time away from family. It's very difficult. And we knew that we wanted kids, and we were fortunate enough to have our parents still alive. So we moved back home to Pittsburgh, and we wanted our parents to be a part of our kids' life. And that is working out right now. Now, where it gets, I'd say, tough was I separated July of 2020. So COVID was just happening. I was really excited. I just got my PMP, my professional management, or my project management professional certification, and we'll talk about that later. Got that right before, and I thought that was the ticket to get a job on the outside. Unfortunately, there were tons of hiring freezes, and I had to wait a little bit. It took me 7 months, where I also went into the Air Force Reserves. I'm currently still in right now. Best decision I ever made. So I saw a post the other night about the scrimmage team. You can give me all that crap you want about being on the reserves and the weekend warrior. I absolutely love it, because it still keeps me connected to my friends in serving, while also being able to be in the private sector. And I work for a great company, work from home. But there were definitely some struggles that 7 month, and coming out as an officer, when people say, you're an officer, like, you have everything that you need to succeed on the outside. I really let my head fill with that, and it kind of backfired on me, because I kept getting out of interviews being like, I smoked that. No, I didn't. Like, I got feedback, and I just kept reiterating my process. What am I doing wrong? I'm talking to the right people, and I'm networking. I thought I was checking all the boxes, and I had some offers that I didn't accept, because to me, when you come out, you don't have to take that entry-level job. You don't have to accept a very low pay just because you're told you might have to. Set the bar high and go after it. So, and I'm back in Pittsburgh, back home, and that's where I wanted to really launch Web of Veterans. And this started in April of 2022, and I was holding monthly events in Pittsburgh, because I was also like, there's not veteran groups here that I could really latch onto. And yeah, started out doing that. Then I went down the course route, which I have a course right now, which is, brand yourself for success. And it talks about the resume, the LinkedIn, the cover letter, and I'm making 2 additional courses. One, I think that's going to really help veterans in the long run, which is how to find success at your employer. Because we always talk about, getting there, getting the job, but then what do we do afterwards? You've got your job. But yep, that's a little bit about how Web of Veterans was launched, and about me. I am I'm a diehard Pittsburgh fan in every way. So if you're in Western PA and you want to link up, please let me
Awesome.
know.
Well, you gave it all. So we gotta backtrack a little bit so we can really get the details. So the first thing I wanted to
Let's
talk
do.
about was kind of I like how you mentioned that was your family. It was a family decision to get out because it's not just a career change, it's a location change, it's a lifestyle change, it's going to be, income change. So that's a pretty heavy decision. What was take us back to that first year? How was that like getting out? I know you mentioned also being officer, you thought you're going to walk right into a job. And I've even been
Yeah.
guilty of saying, "Oh, it's so much different for officers." It is different, but you kind of opened my eyes when we were
Yeah.
talking about how the civilian realm looks at military service. So, if you could take us back to that year, what was that like?
Yeah. So I will start off with saying a lot of people on the outside, their experience and knowledge about the military might be from their cousin that they grew up with or the kid that they went to high school with. And we know, being in the military, all experiences are different, all ranks are different, they have different responsibilities. There's almost like a blinder on the outside of, okay, you were in the military, I will paint you with the brush I know about. And that's common, right? We all have biases in some way. But you can't come out and wave your rank around and expect someone to be like, man, you were an
No.
officer, because it doesn't work out like that. For as much as they see it, if they look at an O3 and an E3, it
Mm,
doesn't, it's just a letter to them. Um, but there's a lot of things that, you sit down and when you start to peel it apart, you're like, wow. And this is the one thing I'll say that TAP did well, was open my eyes to reality, to say, there are bills that you don't pay now. There are taxes that you will be responsible for. Do you want a home? It depends on where you live. Your taxes will change, and you're not
yeah.
getting BAH. That's what the level of the area that you live in. And those were realities that my wife and I, we really talked through, and we said, you know what? I think the reserves is going to help us out. And the reserves also, I use it as a backdrop, because I said, with COVID, it kind of scared me, because I could get into a job and they could say, well, we just hired you and we need to go elsewhere. Being in the military, it gives you're comfortable, right? Yes, they do rifts every once
Hmm.
in a while, but they are very rare. And they go after certain career fields. So, but when you're in corporate, I mean, we're seeing it right now. They're cutting people left and right. I know it was heavy in tech, but it's now stretching across different industries. And that terrifies me, and that keeps me on my heels and makes me stay motivated. And how do I get to that next level? Because there's competition in that private sector. I'd also say a big factor too is
Oh,
childcare.
yes.
So I got out. Yes, first first daughter Amelia was born July 8th, 20 days before I separated from active duty, and it was a TRICARE fiasco. And I got the bill that somehow my TRICARE was turned off. It was like $19,000. Luckily, TRICARE Prime came in clutch, and it was free. So those are little things that we take for granted. And I know I used to get so frustrated with TRICARE, but being on the outside, I was thankful for it, because when you walk out of a doctor's visit today and you get a bill, that's not
No,
common when you're in the
no.
military.
Yeah, that is a huge one, especially yeah, I went through that too. I was pregnant within a few weeks after I separated, and I was scrambling. I was like, where do I go? What do I do? I'm enrolling in the VA as soon as I can, because that is a huge hospital bill that you don't want to have.
Yes. And that's an area where I'm not a master at, like the VA. I have gone and I have a 0% rating. Um, and I would love to talk to somebody about, how do I start to set myself up to maybe put a claim in there, because there's just so much information out there that veterans they expect us to know and us to find, and it's not readily available in
Yeah,
some
it's not just
aspects.
branded on their website. It's in the fine print,
Yeah.
but like you said, like yourself, there's great resources out there. So you talked a little bit about the corporate world, and so when we went through TAPS, I feel like it was mostly branded towards government employee and like employment,
Hmm.
getting that transfer, which is great. It's a great way to go. But for those that are interested in like corporate jobs, what what would you suggest? Like what are the benefits for that?
Yeah. So I'd say, and I took that away too, right? I was hardcore. I don't want any government job. I have nothing against the GS employees out there, the contractors working for them. I wanted to go in the private sector. Advice for, let me think, for the corporate world, I would say, you know, go on LinkedIn, and there are called, and I didn't know this, so I'm talking to the lowest level like I was, BRGs, which are Business Resource Group, or ERGs, Employment Resource Groups. And these are certain groups within employers that have people that have went through your situation. So we have one at my company called Volt, and it's a veteran company. So I can reach out to this group when someone says, "Hey, Rob, I'm really interested in working for your company." Um, and then I go internally to say, hey, I got a group of veterans and we all really like to help each other out. Does someone have an opening or has someone heard of an opening in the company? That's actually how I got my first job. So the, I've held 3 jobs on the outside. All 3 jobs I gained through referrals. So not applying through sites blindly. I worked with local, I'd say,
Hmm.
veteran help groups that had contacts into those BRGs, ERGs. Now, I'll say that is what I'm trying to do. So those people that I've pulled out to my events are those ERG, BRG members, because getting hired from a referral is probably 80%
Yeah.
of the game, right? You could apply online all you want, but when you know people, it helps out tremendously. And yeah, that's huge in the corporate
Yes. And
world.
so what is accessibility like for veterans? And also I wanted to ask, what is kind of the attitude on hiring veterans? Is that a preference or is that something that isn't as normalized in that sector, I guess?
Yeah, Yeah, so every corporation definitely has a veteran initiative. We get it, but for people to understand that this is still business and your resume needs to align to the strategic
Mm,
objectives of that corporation. So they still have goals. They still have to, they need to maximize efficiency. They want profit. They want to limit their spend. And you need to be able to translate that way to show them that I am a valuable asset. Oh, by the way, I'm also a veteran. So that's what I always say first is really sell yourself in a way to say, hey, I support your strategic initiatives. But by the way, I can help you also gain veteran, credibility out there because we all talk too. And there's groups out there that say, hey, is this corporation really sponsoring this veteran in a way? Do they allow them to get that reserve time? That's huge for me, right? I've got that 14 days a year that I need to do. Am I getting paid on that? What if I get picked up for a deployment? Will my company say, hey, Rob, that's totally fine? I'd say that's the biggest
yes, yeah,
thing.
just even having that understanding because some might not even know what the reserves is or know that they have to allow um, that time of absence. Hi, Travis. Travis said that he got referred and helped me. Yes, I was also referred by another veteran. So that is so true. We have to help each other. I definitely wouldn't have my job for those
Yep.
connections. So, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say I was gonna talk about like the referral part. I love like rewriting resumes for people that are like, hey Rob, I'm really trying to get in your company because you know the inner workings and the keywords that need to be on there, as well as the technologies that you're using, such as Teams, or you might be using Azure, so a Microsoft, or if you go to a different company and it's totally different, you need to be able to walk in there and know that knowledge before an
Yes,
interview.
yeah, that's really going to help you get your foot in the door. So my husband, he's applying for an internship right now, and he's just so frustrated and clueless on what to do for the resumes, and I'm trying to help him, and then of course all my advice is totally wrong.
Well, I can help
Yeah,
him out if he
yeah.
needs
So
it.
it's
So
just funny. Going back into that resume writing, it's like you wish you would have paid attention more to that TAPS class or something. But here you can find people like yourself that are such a great resource. So what is kind of like the number one problem for veterans when they're trying to create that resume?
yep, and it's simple. I know we've all talked about it, but it's definitely being able to translate skills. So I know a lot of people say, yeah, you need to be able to translate your skills, but that's where they stop, right? Each industry is different. Each corporation is different. They have different terminology, and this is where tailoring your resume is really going to help you. If you want to be a project managers are different
Mhm.
across industries, across corporations. Some don't require the PMP. I was a program manager, and we had program managers without their PMP or any type of program management certification. So it's and that's the type of stuff that you don't find that out until you've been there before. So I tell people, they come out, they want to be a PM, they don't have the PMP, and they're like, well, scratch that, I can't do that. Well, that's not the truth. Have you talked to people in that field? So the best advice I can give people when you're trying to translate your skills is look up the company that you want to apply for, reach out to 5 or 6 people and say, hey, do you mind if I can borrow 15 minutes of your time and talk about, the company's strategic objectives as well as the tools and the methodologies that they're using at that company, because that's going to really go far when
So
you're
have you
tailoring that
found that
resume.
most of these companies are using scan software? Is that a standard thing, or how does that work?
Yeah, a lot of them. I think I read that it was 98% of Fortune 500 companies use what's called an ATS. So that's your applicant tracking system. So they are scanning, which is where the referral comes in, right? So you really want to beat the scanner, you got to jump to the referral process because that's going to put your resume right to the top. And I've had referrals talking to people for 15, 10 minutes. And I'll say, if you're going to refer someone, we talked about money as a
Mhm.
driver, right? A lot of these companies have, hey, if you've been here for a year and that employee stays for 6 months, we'll give you $1,000. Like, if that's not motivation to push people there, I don't know what is. Help out your friends,
Yeah.
maybe cut them a little bit of the check. So, yeah, I'm always pushing for referrals, pushing for people to really do the networking and the behind the scenes work. This is not a get rich
No,
quick
no,
type
and that's
methodology.
a great thing to put out because I feel like so many. I don't want to generalize, but I feel like that's very enticing for veterans because when you get out, you face hardship.
Yeah,
You're facing an income change majority of the time. So that get rich quick or finding those shortcuts, it's very you know it's something that looks really good. It's really tempting, right? So yeah.
it
So,
is.
so
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to ask, what do you see with the differences in branches? What branches may struggle more?
Yeah. So it's hard because I think that comes down to the person, but it's definitely how we talk is so different. I mean, even from our initial phone call, right? You were
Yeah, I had
Navy, I was
to
Air
stop you a
Force.
few times and be like, wait, what does
We
that mean?
kind of
What's that
talk,
acronym?
yeah, like just in reports, right? We have an officer performance report, an enlisted performance report, and you guys
Hmm.
call them fit reps. So that right there is we're talking the same language, but we're not. I'll say like I've noticed in my opinion that the Army, Marines, they're very like they're more military than Air Force, and we are definitely I'd say more corporate in our terminology, in the way we communicate. When I was deployed, I was with an Army unit. I couldn't even tell you what it was now, but I just how they talk to different ranks. I was like mind blown. That was my first time I was with a different unit. But it was great because I learned a lot and I was like, wow, this really opened it up. And now that has helped me with Web of Veterans to say if I'm working with someone in the
Hmm.
Army, which I have before, how I would interact with them. And that to me was a really cool experience. And if you're on this call or you're listening to this and you still have a chance for a joint assignment, take it because you'll learn so much about the other branches. But I would say it comes down to the individual about who succeeds and who does well. So we talk about I've interviewed people, this is really unfortunate, but this is true, where I've been told, I was in Iraq, I deserve a
Mm.
position here. I served my country. This was on a virtual interview. And I was just like, it's great. The company supports your service, but at the end of the day, do you come with the tools that are gonna allow you to run at 100 miles an hour on day one? That's what we're looking for. And if you want help to talk about how you get there, let's do it. And if you don't, so be it. So I saw there's a comment, not another average Joe. Air Force as a whole is very corporate for sure. 100%. That is definitely something that I've heard
Oh,
multiple
yes, definitely.
times.
But I mean, it's an advantage. We can joke around like who's
Yeah,
more militant, but at the end of the day, it transfers a lot better. It's a lot easier of a transition. And I think maybe eventually all the branches will kind of lean towards that as they become more and more like hiring more and more civilians in place of those military jobs. So,
yeah, and on the turn side of that, it makes it really difficult for corporations to gear towards a veteran, right? So there are internal trainings for people that want to take them to bring knowledge about veterans. And there's one specifically out there that I remember that was how to talk to veterans after war. And I know we talked about that. Not a lot of us nowadays have
mhm,
experienced true combat, you know? We've only heard stories. So that doesn't really relate to me. And that's why I love the name, the millennial veteran,
mhm.
because we're different. We see it like I've got my Web of Veterans shirt on right now, but I don't wear an Air Force ball cap that says Air Force Reserves. I don't hang out at my VFW. And that's nothing against it, but that's just not my prerogative. I'd say, and I noticed that just talking to a lot of people. And that's where my events, I was bringing people out to the small pop-up bars around town because I was like, hey, I want to sponsor local businesses around here and really and see what people are coming out for. And there's always will be
Mhm.
that community aspect. Hey, I can relate to you because we both went through a period of toughness or struggle or we understand. Um, but yeah, I would say there's definitely a difference among generations, even with the
Yes, yeah,
branches.
definitely. What they're searching for, what they want out, and reasons why they join too, because a lot of people nowadays are kind of going in with that foresight of getting a job after. This is going to help me pay for college that I've already taken, and I'm going to pay for it and then get out. So I already kind of have an idea. Kind of going off of that, what would you recommend? Like, what kind of jobs would you recommend people that are currently pursuing like ROTC options or going into the military?
Yeah, and then I take it back to college, right? Even if you're using that GI Bill, let's talk education. Something that, and take it from my mistakes, right? I'm a political science undergrad. I have a master's in international relations, and I didn't do anything technical with that. And I would say there's nothing wrong with a liberal arts degree. There's a lot of benefit for people getting liberal arts degree. But I would say go ahead and learn something technical, minor in something technical, learn a little bit, even if you just take a coding class and learn how to talk to product developers. I think that goes a long way. As for jobs, I wish I would have specialized
Mm-hmm.
in, finance, maybe. I shout out to the services that I always give a hard time for being only open
Yeah.
9 to 4 on military bases and then
Yeah.
closing at lunch for trainings. That drove me crazy, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I wish I would have went into a finance or a cyber job. Cyber's great on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's very translatable. Um, and you're going in with almost a top secret clearance in a lot of positions in that realm, and they pay for those clearances. So, yep. Or if you're going to fly, airlines pay great. I've got a ton of buddies who are, C-17 pilots and they work for the airlines. They're your Delta, United guys, and they make a lot of money after a
Yes,
couple
yeah, and there's a
years.
lot of cool programs that help you get there. You're not always going that standard route if you weren't doing the training in the Air Force or in the military. So let's talk about more of Web of Veterans? What exactly is that? And let's start with this. What was your thinking behind the name Web of Veterans?
Yes. So the thinking obviously is I'm trying to connect people. So nothing fancy, not trying to confuse people. How do I do it? You know, and it started off, I taught myself a little bit of coding. So I built my initial website, which was absolutely horrible. I'm now, I'm on Teachable. And hold on, I'm reading a question I want to just suggest. Is it a red flag for the corporate world if you serve less than 4 years? I don't believe so. It's not a red flag if you bring the tools and capabilities with you to deliver them effectiveness in their strategy. So I will say, back to the question though, it started off, I had no direction, right? I just wanted to help veterans. And now I am geared towards creating courses that allow millennials like us to say, hey, you can do these courses at the time that you are available. So if you have kids, you can do them at night or in the morning before they wake up. They're easily accessible. Now I am niched down even into, I want to work with people that want those six-figure jobs. I can tell you that PMs get paid very well, and I specialize in that. And if that's the realm you want to go, I can really help out with that. And also with those courses, using the funding raised from those courses, I want to build an artificial intelligence supported by a machine learning tool that's really going to help veterans write those resumes that will translate their skills. Now, I am in the infancy stage there, so really data collection, I'd say. So I work with a lot of veterans for free. Just say, hey, can I get your resume bullets? Can I take a look at them? Can I see how you're writing them? And then reaching out to Carnegie Mellon University, some developers here, to say, what goes into building a tool like this, right? I'm not that technical of a person. I'm just trying to do something hard, trying to make a difference and make it an efficient process. So I also want to say that my drive for Web of Veterans was I worked with a lot of free veteran companies out there. And they push certain jobs to you, that were 15 to $30 an hour. Again, nothing wrong with those jobs. I just wanted that white collar experience, that white collar job where, I was a salaried employee. I just thought that's what officers do, that's what I was told. But I wasn't getting that help out there. And that was my motivation to say, okay, let me give you my experience. Let me give you my, what worked for me, what didn't, and cut out all the bullshit with that. I don't want you to sit there and read through 50 pages of why you should write a resume bullet. I just want to tell you how to do it, teach you how to do it, and give you that method, and then push you on. I'd also say that it really upset me when I first had my first job that, transitioning out of the military doesn't end, right? You get that first job. There's a statistic out there where veterans start their first job and they may only stay for a year and a half. I was exactly that. Well, when you want to carry on and keep going, who's there to help you? And a lot of these organizations say, hey, we're at max capacity, like maybe try this group, and they pass you around. So again, I'm trying to be efficient. I'm trying to scale. I'm trying to give people the same tools that are going to help them find success, not only transitioning out of the military, but as they transition throughout their professional career. Now, where the web comes in is there are some great leaders that have military experience who are in that C-suite position. I have a CFO of my current company who has Navy experience. Now, he didn't just jump from an '06 to that CFO position. He had to do some of his work in the trenches, but he has so much credibility with the other veterans that work in the company to say, listen, if you come out, you work hard, you're going to make mistakes, but you keep going and you just network within. And I was like, click the web. That's it. I can reach to people and say, I can pick up the phone. Hey, you want to go into banking? Let me pick up the phone and call someone that can help you. That would be really good. I can help you write a resume, but they might be able to help you with the specifics of that resume.
Yeah, and that's key there to to key in on the specifics. I love that. I love that Web of Veterans, and you're really creating just I don't want to say network, but it really is just something that you can you can reach out here, you can find someone here. Like you said, and I know you're doing a lot of this, you're a part of a council or something. What is it?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So again, because I don't have the resources to, code that tool, who do I reach out to? One of the best universities in AI and machine learning, Carnegie Mellon University, is literally down the street. And why not get involved with other professional, I'd say professional organizations, such as the Pittsburgh
Mm-hmm.
Technology Council, what we talked about. That has given me the leverage to say they've got connections in the government, they've got connections in business development to say, hey, Rob, have you thought about this? Because a lot of it, I'm like, no, I haven't. Anyone who has started their own business before is kind of, you're doing everything. You're the
Yes.
marketer, you're the salesperson, you're coding, you're building. Um, so it's how I speed up that process. But the Pittsburgh Technology Council has really helped me meet other professionals throughout Pittsburgh that want to help veterans or are veterans themselves. And to me, that matters, and that makes me feel good about being from Western PA because we're all
Yeah,
helping each other out
yeah,
across the
starting
board.
local, and I think that's great kind of advice you're giving
Yeah.
to veterans, because we're online, we're on TikTok that sends us all across the world. It's international.
Mhm.
You start comparing yourself to people that are like, they started a long time ago, and we can't do that. So that's why I think it's nice to reach out local and just create that foundation with people that are going to support you.
Yeah, to me, I came out and I wanted to be that national. I wanted to be that guy with 100,000 followers on Instagram, but that's just
Hmm.
not where it's at. Like that doesn't help out my business that long. And then I'm like, if I can really knock it out of the park in Pittsburgh and in Western PA and in Pennsylvania, I will definitely, focus here, find out what works, and
Hmm.
then go out that way. I see there's a question, full-time entrepreneurship. That is the dream. That is the hope one day. So we're gonna see. I'd say my wife and I would definitely like, hey, let's do it. Let's go all in here. We want to work for ourselves. We want to, focus on the family and say we're gonna get there together one day.
That is
So
that is awesome, because it is such a team thing, because we're one's pursuing something, the other is helping all in the background. I know that's definitely it's
yeah.
that's great. We also had a few comments I wanted to read. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It is such a huge help. Translating a military career to civilian resume is no joke. Yes, absolutely. And then we got some love for PA. Yay, Pennsylvania resources. I don't see that often. That's from Twin Lizzie. And then Token Ranger. Yes, sir. That's it. It's doable. Great message, y'all. Yeah, you're getting so much love. I love seeing the support come out for you, because that is awesome. It's really showing what you've been building and working on the past 2 years. So, what is upcoming for Web of Veterans? Do you have any dates set for these courses?
Yeah. So I have a course out right now, Brand Yourself for Success, and it is a paid course, but my idea is I'm trying to work with, I'd say, veteran organizations throughout, that Western PA, but throughout the country that are trying to
Hmm.
increase their efficiency and reach to work with veterans, to maybe partner with them to say, hey, you can utilize my courses to give to the veterans. So I talk about this all the time, and yeah, people are like, "Man, you charge for your courses?" Yes, I do. I've got to put food on the table. I've got a family to support, but that doesn't mean that I can't work with nonprofits that can say, "Hey, Rob, we'd love to buy a batch of your courses and give them to our veterans." And if that's the way that I'm going to help,
Hmm.
that's what I want to do. And then I have two more courses that are going to focus on interviewing, negotiation, and then a third that's going to focus on, okay, you got that job, let's find success after. So internally networking and the games that you need to play Appreciate the follows, by the way. The games that you need to play from a political standpoint
Mhm.
within that corporation. And I'm set to launch all three of these courses at a discounted rate on Veterans Day this year. I'll actually be going through a full 30-day launch plan that's going to put deals out there on my monthly newsletter. I always am giving discounts to the courses, but I also am willing to talk. I say, let's set up a 15-minute call. Let me hear about your experiences because Web of Veterans is always about learning, right? If I want to be the best, I need to constantly learn. I need to constantly be getting that feedback and really being told, Rob, that worked or that didn't work. So open to feedback always. But yeah, definitely the courses and the tool are my next big thing. Like I said, they'll be launched throughout the year. Follow the page. Definitely gonna deliver updates as we go. You can get some insights on me in general from a professional standpoint and the
Yes,
family
Rob
as
has some
well.
great
So
content. He makes a lot of reels. They're fun. He's got some humor in there, but they're also just full of information, and it's just like bundled nice and quick and easy. So he's got a lot of free resources right on your page. That's why, I mean, you
yeah,
should never have to explain why, because you're putting your heart and soul, you're putting your time into this, especially when you have a family. So of course, you need to be paid for that. Okay, we have another question from Not Another Average Joe. What's your goal or plan for types of future courses building a one-stop shop?
yeah. So Teachable is what I use. That is kind of like my one-stop shop. I eventually want to venture out and do some in-person courses, actually right here in Pittsburgh, and partnering with my wife. She's a photographer, Shannon Bergamasco Photography. I'll give her a shout out. And she took my LinkedIn photos, and they turned out fantastic. Like it has increased views. It's all about that. So we're going to partner and kind of do that really hands-on courses, I'd say. So yeah,
That
that's
is really
another main goal that
cool
we
because you
have.
don't know how, like, people don't realize how
Yeah.
far that photo goes. It gets you far. It gets
Yes.
you in the door. And also, oh, Kylie said there is a Burbiz veteran networking event in DC. Cool.
Hey, send me the dates. Send me the dates. I'll see if I can make it down. I haven't been on a vacation here. We love to get out and explore. So I haven't been to DC in a while, and I have tons of
Yes,
friends
love
down there
DC.
too.
It's a great place.
It's the
It
hub. It
it
definitely
is,
is the
and
hub.
it's got like that big city feel, but it's also people are so interconnected there. It's like everyone knows everyone, like somehow, or you've worked at the same place. I love that kind of small town feel in that big city.
I don't like the traffic though. So that
Yes,
beltway
it
is
is.
insane.
It really is. I used to have to take the bus every day when I did my internship, so I would just be sleeping
Oh,
on my commute. But yeah.
I'm also a big supporter of work from home. So if anyone here is trying to work from home, I got a couple companies I know that they're really leaning towards that way. And I know, listen, I work from home. I don't get in the car every morning. I wake up, I take care of the girls, go upstairs and go to work, and I'm wearing sweatpants. So it has
And
been incredibly
And this would be my
nice.
last question. Do you feel like more
Yeah.
corporations are staying in that, keeping that work from home, or more of a hybrid?
It's hard. I feel like it's 50-50 right now because I know there are corporations of friends that are saying, hey, you're coming back in a couple days a week. Now, because I'm work from home, I'm still, hey, go down into the office, shake hands, talk to people. It still goes a
Hmm.
long way. That human interaction is huge. So I try to get down every couple weeks and show my face in there. Usually there's not a lot of people there, but you know who are going to be the constant
Hmm.
ones. Really, it's your leadership that's going to be at work all the time. And even if you go down a couple days a month, you're going to make a difference. But yeah, it's tough because a lot of corporations I feel are bringing people back because they have the real estate. They sign these deals
Hmm.
for 5 to 10 years at a time, and they just don't want to shut down the lights and lose out on that. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see in 5 to 10 years if some of those contracts get renewed or if
That's
they
a
get cut
great
in
point. I
half.
haven't thought of it from that standpoint, especially like me being in the military world, like those buildings are going to be there no matter what. So, like, but yeah,
Yep.
that's going to
Yeah,
be really
yeah.
interesting. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Well, Rob, one more time, where can we find you? And if there's anything else I can help you share tonight.
Yeah, so I try to make it easy. You can find me on Instagram here at Web of Veterans. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Rob Bergamasco. You can check out the post here. It has the spelling of my last name. As well as you can go to www.webofveterans.com. It'll take you to my Teachable page. Go ahead. You can find out more about me on there. And always feel free to reach out, rob at webofveterans.com. You know, as a solo entrepreneur, I'm managing everything and anything. Happy to jump on a call with anybody, you know, and talk resumes. Even if you got questions about job search, you know, you don't, my calls, I have 15-minute calls for free. So let's network and let's
Yeah,
connect and
that
see how we can
is
help
a
each other
huge
out.
offer to offer that that phone call, because you know you could scroll through online for hours looking for that, and then one quick phone call you could direct
Yeah.
them to an awesome place. That's great you offer that. Well, thank you, Rob, and thank you everyone for joining tonight. This was really fun. A lot of engaging comments on the chat. So if anybody's watching the replay, or if you're listening to the podcast or on Reese Across America Radio, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you learned something about millennial veterans tonight. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.
Hey, thank you.